I have a hot take, and I think you're going to disagree with it. I think sleep is overrated before a competition.
You never sleep.
Sleep is for the weak.
Your whoop. You have like health concerns that can't be addressed on this podcast.
No.
We didn't.
I'm locked in, baby. Hello and welcome to the Net Gains Podcast. I am your host, Frank Field, joined as always by my co-host, the one, the only, Roger Parent.
Hey, yo.
What's going on, Roger?
Nothing, man. Doing well. You're back from your vacation?
Back from my vacation.
A couple weeks?
Yeah, man. Got to London. I went to a Premier League game. It was, low-key, it was probably the best sporting event I've ever been to in my life. We saw Chelsea versus Tottenham Hotspur. Football, I mean soccer, not football. But yeah, it was awesome. We're now lifelong Chelsea fans. But it was crazy. Like, the fans are singing the entire game. It was really cool.
Dude, I love that, man. Fan atmosphere.
Yeah,
like that.
It was wild.
They should encourage. I don't get why events don't encourage that kind of stuff more often.
So it's actually funny because we kind of looked into it afterwards. Like we went to a Lakers game out here in LA a couple months ago at the Staples Center, and it was kind of like going to the Staples Center is like, oh, I went to the Staples Center. It's like an outing, right? Whereas for these like diehard soccer fans in England, it's like, no, they're going for the game. They're going to see their team win. It was wild, like singing the entire time. They did a replay of a goal, and the entire stadium was like booing the refs and saying "F you zebras," and it was awesome.
Yeah, dude, that's crazy. I love that like competitive energy in there.
Yeah,
but yeah, I mean, how does that start, right? I guess it's just like they foster that kind of stuff, and then once you have it, it's like the FOMO. Like there's people who are like, I'm not gonna miss a game. Right. Versus like, yeah, I went to a Knicks game earlier this year and it was just like, it was cool. I mean, it was like really cool to attend, but it was like stereotypical. It didn't feel much different from like a Hartford Wolfpack game, like amateur hockey that I've gone to. And it's like, they're just featuring people on the Jumbotron, same kind of thing. The play was just better.
Well, it's also different because in England, it's like generations of fans. You know, it's like I was a Chelsea fan because my dad's a Chelsea fan because his dad is a Chelsea fan, you know? Whereas in LA, for example, or New York, it's all transplants. So it's not like generations of Knicks fans or Laker fans.
True. I also happened to go to the Knicks game that was like the lowest scoring game since like 2007 in all of the NBA. And so maybe it was just like a bad game.
Yeah. And I will say Knicks fans are really good. Like them going to the playoffs right now, those fans are insane. So shout out to the Knicks.
You could tell the crowd wanted to get into it. Like anytime anything exciting happened, everybody was so like they wanted to be into it, and then it would just be like duck after duck after duck. Yeah. It was just a bad basketball game. But it is what it is.
Today on the pod we're talking about pregame routines. How to optimize yours, how to be ready for game time when you need to be. But real quick, I don't know why you didn't talk about this. New trophy behind me. You didn't notice
just make that yourself?
No. Fantasy football champ, baby. It took me I was hoping to get it actually for the start of the podcast. But shout out to our league and my commissioner, Matt Medeiros. Took us 6 months to get it. But anyway, it's out here now. I got the engraving on the trophy. 2-time champ. And we're back.
Nice.
We're locked in.
I don't even watch football.
It's all analytics, dude. Where do you think I learned how to be good at fantasy football? It's actually, I've won 2 of my 2 championships since starting a digital position.
There you go. Smart.
That's it, man. It's all data analytics.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. All right. Pre-game routine?
Yeah, let's jump in.
Cool. So, I mean, we've both competed at a really high level in terms of athletics, not the highest level in the world, but we're both competitors, and obviously we try to have an edge in the competition. So I'm curious, I don't know in the times that we've played together if I've ever seen your pregame routine, but do you have one? Have you had it change over the years? Where did it start for you? The floor is yours, Mr. Parent.
I feel like when you and I competed together, we just like did our own thing. Like I was kind of over here doing my stuff. You were over there doing your stuff. And because we were so different, but had our own process that we went through, that It was just kind of funny that we ended up competing so well together. But I don't know, consistency. I think the pregame routine starts like well before the like very immediate pregame routine of warming up and stretching and all of that. Where I'll just touch on diet first, because whenever I'm going anywhere to compete at a high level, chances are I'm traveling, right? And I think we might have talked about how when I got off like the plane and you made me eat salmon and so whatever I would normally eat, you were like, yeah, you're going to eat that lunch right now and make sure you bring this. And I think that's a big thing, is bringing familiarity to your pregame routine, even though you're in an environment that might not be so familiar, a new location, a new court, a new feel, a new place. And what can you bring that makes it feel familiar, such that you're not just feeling uncomfortable with the moment before you even step foot on the court.
Yeah, I'll jump in real quick, because that kind of like when we think about the goal of a pregame routine, it is to bring stability and comfortability to an uncomfortable situation, and certainty too, like a feeling of certainty that I don't know what's going to happen during this game. You might have had weird stuff happen leading up to the game, but if you can bring this one piece of certainty to your routine and to your game, it's going to make you feel a lot more comfortable. I'll share a quick anecdote from when I was coaching. Actually, I was coaching in 2020, like full time, and I had this thought about how players should compete, that you should be able to just be thrown into the fire and have any situation thrown at you and just like be able to thrive, like that's what competing is. So I would not give these girls the best structure around like our lineups or around our game plan was always set, obviously, but in terms of like, whatever, some certain things. And I found after the season, when I talked to some of them, that the lack of structure was the biggest thing that hindered their performance, and not having clarity and certainty in pregame. So like, that was a learning thing for me, is that even though I feel that it should have been fine regardless, adding structure and clarity, it just helps your mind to be at ease in those situations so much, and it helps you play better.
There's also a difference between training and competing, where when you're training, you actually want to add elements of adversity into your training such that you can handle those situations. But when you're competing, you're trying to bring your absolute best situation. And so it almost sounds like you were adding adversity as if they were training
right
when they were competing.
And you want to like recreate your best situation, right? So that it happens actually on the court.
Exactly. And I can't even tell you how many people I know that like train their butts off 5 days a week, like get up early, they lift 5 days a week too, they're doing 2 days, all of this, and then they go to compete and they'll just like eat whatever, travel whenever. They'll fly off schedule, sleep off schedule, and I'm just like, what are you doing? Why would you put in all that work just to add tons of adversity for yourself on competition day? And it's like there's no benefit out of that. That's when you're supposed to bring your absolute peak performance. So all those little things need to be dialed in. It may not seem like a big deal to not quite drink enough water or go to bed a little bit later or whatever, but it's like, no, don't, like that's the time not to do it is to, you want to be as stable and set yourself up for the most success possible in competition, because that's when you get to play free.
Mm-hmm. So we know the why. Obviously, it's super important for that structure. But what are some of the key elements that you've added to your pregame routine that helps you play your best?
There's a diet, as I mentioned, is a big one. So like I will bring food with me. I will go grocery shopping when I get to that place to try and get like the same things that I would normally eat. I will look that up in advance, like of before I travel or before I go, of like where can I go to recreate as much as possible of my normal diet. The second thing is, I think there's a mental focus that you can actually practice prior. And I think I taught you this when we were training together. And I said, when you're outside these boundaries in the court, it's like you can laugh, have a good time, all of this. But when you step on the court, it's like you lock. Like I always think when I take my first step on the court, the mind locks in. And because I'm like used to that, I translate that to competition where it's like, okay, I can I can sort of be loose, be free heading into competition. And then like when I place my left foot over that line, it's a mental lock-in step for me that I am used to at this point that I do in training. Like, okay, I'm locked in now. And so it's like I'm now mentally convinced myself that first step on the court locks me in. So are there habits like that you can bring to competition? Those are a couple key ones. I'll try to think of some more.
Yeah, you had phrased it in an interesting way when you told me that walking on the court piece, because you treat it like a different persona almost. And when you step on this court, it's this competition persona is now on the court, and that's who you are.
Yeah, and maybe we've talked about dark side versus divine energy, and maybe it's because I try to create such a strict line between the two that it's like a literal line. Like I step over the line, and now I'm allowed to use my dark side energy and be like super competitive and all of that. But I have to remember to shut it off when I walk outside that line and the game's over. So that may be my way to ensure I am able to switch between divine motivation and dark side motivation, like we talked about on our motivational podcast episode.
Check that one out, yo.
Yeah. How about you?
Yeah. So for me, obviously like the night before routine, sleep, eating well, stretching, all that, blah, blah, blah. But I think the more fascinating one is the directly before you compete routine. So, an hour, 30 minutes out right before first serve. I have a like visualization track that I kind of listen to. And the whole purpose of it is to do some deep breathing, calm your body down, calm your mind down, relax. And the big one with that is giving yourself some perspective too. So not putting so much pressure on the outcome, but more so giving yourself perspective just to play loose and play free and really just trust your instincts. Because, we've been talking about this on our last few episodes, but when you're in competition, you shouldn't be overthinking. It's just at that point, trusting your instincts and trusting all of the reps that you've done the last weeks, months, years to just execute on the court.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really great point, is even when it came to my literal pregame routine right before I started, it was rehearsed. So it felt familiar too. It was the same blocking movements, the same passing movements, the same. I would go in a counterclockwise rotation on the court. When I would warm up, I would, do the same movements, the same order of operations every time. Right.
And like you said, the goal there is you're in a different environment. You might not be in you might be in a different country, different time zone, different partner, but adding that certainty and stability just helps your mind be at ease.
Yeah. The other thing I want to bring up is, well, we talk about a lot of what we're talking about is getting your mind right, but there is a different preparation for the body heading into a competition that might throw off the mind sometimes. Like when we're training and we're a month out from competition and we're pushing our body to its limits and we're sore every day and we're cold plunging and we're doing whatever we got to do to recover, right? When you go into competition, typically you're either going through a deload or you're going lighter that week, lower rep counts as you head into competition to really make sure your body's maximally recovered. I want to know what you're about to head into Huntington, right?
Yeah, baby. Qualifier on Thursday.
So how is your training for your body changed the week heading in? And does that cause inconsistency?
A little bit different. So unfortunately came back from London 2 weeks ago. So last week I had to like really go hard and just beat the hell out of my body to like get it recovered, because I knew this week was going to be a little bit lighter. So last week I went super hard. All my whoop recoveries were in like the 30s. if you saw that,
I noticed.
Yeah, and I was like, oh man, like I'm doing all the right things. Like I'm reading before bed. Like I'm drinking water. I'm sleeping at the right times. And no matter what, I couldn't recover. And that's just part of the process of coming back from like a crazy time zone shift and blah blah blah. But I had to go hard last week to set myself up to not go as hard this week. So I got a good lift in yesterday. Today we're going to be doing a moderate practice. My partner gets in today in like 2 hours. So we might go a little bit harder just to kind of get some reps together. But then tomorrow is going to be very light, like maybe just some movement stuff in the gym, and then a little bit of movement on the court for like 45 minutes. Because I totally agree with you on this, that it should be a deload week. And I'm almost like barely practicing and just trying to have my body as close to 100% as possible so that I can play as hard as possible on the day.
Yeah, and you want to feel great heading into that competition,
Yes.
right? Like
it's like what
it's like
what are an extra 2 hours of reps going to do for you the week of the tournament? Like at that point,
yeah, exactly.
you've already
At that
done the
point, your
reps.
body's been trained over many months. You can't lose 10 pounds the week before a tournament.
No, right? Like at that point, you're only just training your body to compete and trust its instincts.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great point. And so you have the big qualifier on Thursday?
Yes, sir. Thursday. No brackets
Nice,
yet.
dude. Get it.
No brackets for AVP. 48 hours out.
Nice. What about visualization? So what do you visualize heading? I almost feel like I would visualize like big successes, like I'm going to win this tournament, whatever. And then I almost felt like that mentally set myself up for unrealistic expectations or like now like it added pressure. And the best visualization for me personally was just like no visualization other than just visualizing the like, where is the medical tent? Where is the food? Where is the, like, just, I would just visualize like the layout of the place, make the place, the surroundings feel comfortable. And that was it. I wouldn't visualize my play at all.
I actually love that by you. I think we maybe circle back on that. But I'm going to drop a few major keys. So, Garrett, turn the TikTok camera on, okay? Here we go. First one, yes. Should definitely visualize being in the environments, like you said. So if it's me at an AVP qualifier, I'm picturing the barriers around the court. I'm picturing the AVP logo nets. This one's going to be at Huntington, so like maybe the pier in the background. So like you said, you're getting comfortable with being in the environment, first off. Like your mind is at ease there. I like to visualize the last play, so like winning kind of, and then the feeling of winning. So you're getting comfortable with that feeling of making the play and winning. I've added this as well. So sometimes when I visualize, I get so excited. Like, I don't know if you used to feel this too, but my heart rate would get fired up and like, oh my God, like the feeling of winning and the feeling of being in competition. I've actually switched that the last couple of weeks to a feeling of serenity in those moments. So it's like, whatever. It's like just another point. And so you're practicing the feeling in crunch time of it being just another point. I think we'll see how it works on Thursday, but that's kind of what I've been working on.
Just out in the first round.
Yeah, I know. Imagine that, right?
Loses by 30.
Well, luckily I got Bruno, and he's going to backpack my ass all the way, I hope. So, but then one more major key. Let me just finish out on this. The last major key is that's like leading up to the event. When you're actually in the day of the competition, very little like hardcore visualization, but more so just visualization of feeling the movements, like feeling a perfect pass or feeling a good arm swing, and just visualizing what that movement feels like so that your body is already almost repped out for it when you jump on the sand.
Yeah, I like visualizing the movements. That's really good. I had that same issue where when I was visualizing the win or the last point, that I would feel too amped up and antsy and anxious now to attend the tournament. And then I was finding that I was getting the wrong energy from that, which is why I think I was focusing on what I think you had as key number one. Yeah, that's super interesting. But have you ever tried meditation like right before the tournament? Like the Vikings just drafted JJ McCarthy, and he just he meditates before every game, and I'm like anxious. I actually want to try it.
Not full meditation. I do like box breathing, but just kind of some stuff to like get in control of your breath and your heart rate, but no like sit down visualization.
Yeah, I think he like literally goes to like a goalpost and like cross-legged sits down and does his like breathing exercises or things like that. And I feel like that's like really coming up as a new age sort of tactic of doing that like immediately pre-game. And I think what you put it the right way, where it's like putting things in perspective. We've talked about how important it is to put the game in perspective to release some of that pressure that people can put undue pressure on themselves or unnecessary pressure. So it's something that I've wanted to try anyway.
I mean, shoot, dude, the more we kind of dive into these subjects, there's no one right answer, right? Everyone's mind is different. Everyone has a different routine. So if you want to meditate for 45 minutes before a game, feel free. If you want to just laugh and joke around with your teammates, that's fine too. It's whatever gets you in that primed state to compete and be in the zone.
Yeah, the biggest thing is that I felt like for years I was in denial. I would feel nervous. I would feel not right going into a competition, and I would always start off playing horribly, and then I would warm up to the moment, and I would play phenomenal after like 5 or 6 points of just getting used to it. But I was in denial that was happening. I think I was like, oh no, I'm not nervous going in. It was like an ego thing where I was like, I'm afraid to tell my friends that I'm feeling nervous about it. It's like, I think you have to be honest with yourself of try a bunch of these keys or try some of these things, but be willing to say, I admittedly felt not right going into that game or nervous or whatever, and try something different next one until you really do find, wow, I feel really comfortable starting this game out strong.
Yeah, totally. We got to wrap up here, but any other major keys you want to pass along?
No, I think I just really feel like diet can't be underscored enough. Everyone just like is so bad about their diet from what I've seen. Even at a high level, people are very bad with their diets. And I just think it's so important that people spend the time to think through how they eat when they go to compete. It may seem like a little thing to you, or you may not feel a difference. You're young, whatever. But like, I'm telling you, it's different when you just survive that game and you're feeling way better throughout it.
I have a hot take, and I think you're going to disagree with it. I think
All right.
sleep is overrated before a competition.
I would say sleep consistency is not overrated, but like you never sleep.
Sleep is for
Based
the
on your
weak.
whoop. You have like health concerns that can't be addressed on this podcast.
No,
We need
I'm locked in, baby.
You need to sleep more than 5 hours a night, man.
I got
It is, like,
6
not
last
okay.
night. I got 6.
Yeah, that is not okay.
Dude,
I
in
don't know how you
college, I
recover
was
at all.
so, oh my God, I was so bad in college. I thought it was, I would think it was like more important to grind film until 3 a.m. the night before a tournament versus like sleeping. So I would just be like on my phone on YouTube, like watching film or whatever, like motivational videos. And I go to bed at 2 and you get up at 7 to go get on the bus. And it's like, yeah, that doesn't affect me. And then, looking
think
back,
that's-
like that was probably pretty stupid.
But the issue with people who are generally being successful, which you've had like a really good successful run these last couple of years, is you've really started to breach into the top tier players. It's very difficult to look at what you do and say it's wrong when you're being successful. But like, could you be even more successful with better, more consistent sleep? I think you could.
Nah,
But
no
it's easy to
shots.
say you're fine without it because you're doing well.
Show me the data that says sleep is important.
That's an outrageous take. That's just not a hot take. That is an outrageous take.
It's all mental, my brother. That's why we're doing this podcast.
my
Sleep is not
goodness.
important.
That's horrible.
Yeah.
Do you listen to certain
I feel
music?
like, what's that?
Do you listen to certain music pregame?
Yeah, I got
get
a
too pumped
couple.
up with music. I get like adrenaline flowing, and then I'm flying, and I'm like too almost uncontrollable energy when I listen to too much hype music.
Yeah, it depends. It depends. I like to do that visualization thing, so I breathe and then kind of calm myself down. And then if I have some time, it's like, all right, I'll listen to some hype songs. And then I get like totally the other way, and I'm like ready to kill somebody, And I think you go down and up, and then find the middle, and there you go. You're locked in.
So you just go from like massage parlor music to like rap music.
Yeah,
What an adventure that
92
must be
bars.
mentally.
It's a journey.
It sounds like I don't know if your pregame routine is good at all.
Well, hey, we'll find out Thursday. Thursday we'll know. If we stink Thursday, then I'll revamp the whole thing live on the pod.
Deal.
All right.
All
We
right,
could
man.
probably go on this for like another hour. So let's wrap it up. Hit us with that quote here from Clay Thompson.
It's your quote. You got
Oh, it's Garrett's quote. So
Oh.
you can read it.
it. Garrett, the handsome editor. his quote. Maybe we should overlay Garrett reading it. Anyway, it's from Kobe Bryant. So Kobe Bryant said it, or Clay Thompson said it? Because he put both. Why did he put such a long explanation here? All right. The quote is, "Greatness isn't just on the court; it's everything you do." It's
Clay
a good quote,
Thompson
Garrett.
on Kobe Bryant from Garrett Buckland, read by Roger Parent.
All right, man. Great
Cool.
to talk to you.
Thanks everybody for listening. Appreciate you. We will see you on the next episode. Hope you learned something. If you did, reach out to us, tell a friend, and we will see you next week. Yo!